Let me tell you about a little game called Ace of Spades. First released in 2011, it was a voxel-based first-person shooter with a handful of game modes including Capture the Flag and Team Deathmatch. What made this game unique was its simplicity. There are 3 weapons to choose from upon entering a server: a rifle, SMG, and shotgun. You also got 3 grenades, a shovel, and blocks. You could build things on the map in this game and destroy them, which added an interesting element of gameplay. Instead of, say, sneaking around a map to get to an enemy base, you could just dig right under them and surprise them. Or you could go the nuclear route and just completely destroy the enemy base. I first discovered the game sometime in 2011, whenever version 0.75 was at its peak. Sorry, my memory from that time isn't the best. I was 10 or 11 at the time, equipped only with an eMachine's netbook that ran Windows 7 Starter Edition. I didn't have a debit card yet, and didn't feel like being told no for the umpteenth time after asking my parents to buy me Minecraft. Which, by the way, the pirated version couldn't even run well on my laptop. This is beta 1.8 we're talking about. Side note, I just looked and I'm honestly surprised that the game has stayed at the $26.95 price for a decade now. That's pretty cool. So, I was constantly on the lookout for free Minecraft alternatives. One day, I happened upon Ace of Spades and decided to give it a go. And I loved it. It was such an uncomplicated game that it ran well on my laptop. After all, it could run on your grandma's rig. And it was just fun. It finally felt like a fair and balanced first-person shooter to 11-year-old me. Everyone starts off with the same things, there were no pay-to-win mechanics, and the only thing separating you from other players was your skill level. I wish I could tell you my username and what server I usually played on, but I have long since forgotten both. However, it was probably an Aloha PK server since those were popular. So, I played it for a while, having a blast all the way, but eventually moved on to pirated Minecraft that, gasp, had working multiplayer servers and you can install mods on, which is an interesting topic itself and maybe another video, and that occupied my time for a while. Eventually though, sometime in 2012 or 2013, I go back onto the site, ace-spades.com, and it redirects to a different page, aceofspades.com. That itself wasn't really a big deal, but the message that greeted me there was, Ace of Spades, buy now from Steam, with a familiar logo at the bottom, Jagex. I was an avid RuneScape player from ages 10 to 11, so I recognized them. At this point, I think I did have a debit card and maybe a Steam account, but very little money, even though it was only $10. And to be honest, at this point, I had kinda moved on. I considered it a loss and probably went on to play more pirated Minecraft. It wasn't until some years later, around 2017, I think, that I decided, hey, that game I played when I was a kid was so much fun, I kinda wanna know if it's still around. And yes, it was. The screenshots from the Steam page sorta resembled what I played 6 years ago, but it was different, and the reviews weren't so hot. Lots of lamentations for the old Ace of Spades, version 0.75, how Jagex ran the game into the ground, and how dead the servers were. Yikes, what happened? Well, the story is simple really. The developer, Ben Aksoy, who seems to have no online presence as of recently, was approached by Jagex to buy the game. This would seem like a cool opportunity, work with a big game company to make your game better and available to a wider audience. I'm not in the world of game development, but being able to work with the people who made RuneScape seems like a neat deal. So, he accepted it, and they steamrolled him every step of the way. The full story will be linked below, but the people at Jagex essentially took his game and ruined it, and he could only sit back and watch since it was their intellectual property now. Sorry guys, but just because you had fun tunneling for 4 hours and then sniping for 8 hours, doesn't mean that everyone will have the same amount of fun doing that. Remember, we were asked to appeal to a wider audience. According to the website Unseen64, by the end of 2012, Aksoy was fed up with Jagex overriding his decisions and decided to quit. And so he did, leaving his game behind. Jagex went on with development, people disliked the changes and how the community was treated, and the game lost popularity, the servers eventually being shut down by Jagex in 2018. The Steam page still exists for it, but you can no longer buy or play it. There exists a successor for the Jagex version called Block and Load, which is free to play and has pretty favorable reviews, but it's a far cry from the original game. Plus, it only gets maybe 150 players a day, and that's that. The story doesn't end there though. Version 0.75 has been revived by some passionate fans in the form of Open Spades and the website Build and Shoot, and you can play it! I do once in a blue moon and did to record some gameplay for this video, but compared to Ace of Spades in its prime, the player numbers are, well, sad. I thought with everyone being stuck inside these days there would be a few more people flocking to the game, but that's not the case. Still, a dedicated core fanbase exists for this game. It's small, but it's there. I think it's worth mentioning another game that was mildly popular at the time that I also played a fair bit, King Arthur's Gold. The concepts were similar. Capture the flag / team deathmatch battles with a destructible environment. King Arthur's Gold was different though, in that it was a 2D side-scroller and set in medieval times and had different player classes. King Arthur's Gold, however, has remained untouched by executive meddling and remains on Steam where you can play it for free. Its player numbers have predictably dwindled since 2012, but I'm sure some fun can still be found on a well-populated server. Plus, there are catapults. The inferior siege engine, but it still makes for some chaotic fun. If that interests you, you should definitely check it out. It was another game that ran surprisingly well on my netbook, so you could definitely run it as well. This story, I think, is an early lesson for a 12-year-old me. Nothing is forever. A lot of the things from that period of my life still exist. Fall Out Boy, Minecraft, RuneScape, and even Habbo Hotel, which I fully expected to become defunct like Club Penguin now. After all, it has been 8 years. Is that a long time? I don't know. But a lot of things from that time aren't around anymore. The creatures, Flipnote Hatena, a few family members, many friendships, and yeah, Ace of Spades. That's life, I guess. It just happens. In conclusion, this game was wronged. Not just the game, but its players, its fans, and most importantly, the person who created it. Executive meddling happens all the time, especially in film and television, but those haven't affected me as much as this has. I wish I could get a hold of Ben Aksoy, but as I said earlier, his online presence is nil. I found his email address through some digging and sent an email with some interview questions, but so far there's been no reply. At least I tried. But hey, if he does ever reply, you guys will be the first to know. That's it for this video. But before I go, I have some questions for you, the viewer. Were you ever part of the Ace of Spades community in its prime? Did you play the Jagex version? Do you play the Build and Shoot version? I'd like to know, plus any fun stories from your war days. Leave them in the comments down below. Also, what are your opinions on the hallway map? Personally, I love it, but I guess I could see it might be a little bit overrated. Anyways, thanks for watching. Green Team for life.